All right, we'll go ahead and begin the public hearing portion of the meeting. This is the public hearing for the submission of an emergency application for the Community Development Block Grant for the Southeast Wastewater Treatment Plant. At this time, I will turn it over to Ms. Freddie Wells, the city's grant writer. She will use the microphone and kind of explain to the public what this is about.
Mr. Mayor, members of the board, I'm Freddie Wells, and I'm the city's grant manager, so to speak. Regrettably, we discovered 2 or 3 months ago that there was a major problem at the Southeast wastewater treatment plant that was going to require immediate attention to the tune of about $1.8 million, which is a huge amount of money for the city of Odessa, particularly when you just approved bonds for a new facility. So we started exploring where we could get some help to do this project, and we did check with the USDA and DNR, and the only program we could find that might work for us was the Community Development Block Grant program that is declared the Emergency CDBG, which will offer $500,000, will offer $500,000 toward a project if it meets a set of criteria. First, there are four criteria. First, it has to be a serious threat to health and safety. And obviously at the facility where you may at any time lose your ability to continue filtering sewage, it would be certainly a threat to the health and safety of anybody, particularly since you discharge into Davis Creek, which runs down to the Blackwater River, which supports rural wells and reservoirs for a couple of cities. So the last thing really we need to happen is to have some untreated effluent in those streams. So we meet that criteria. It has to be immediate. It has to be something that needs to be addressed very quickly in order to avoid a problem. And we've been told by the engineering company that these filters could fail at any minute. It has to be unique. It has to be something that doesn't happen often. And we've been assured that it is very unique to have a peak flow basin that overflows and backs up into your sewer treatment facility. So it's unique. There also has to be a lack of sufficient local funds. Joey McLiney did numbers for us on this. If we issue bonds for the full $1.83 million, your rates for 2016 are going to jump 21%. So if we can knock at least $500,000 off of that, it won't be good, but it's going to drop it significantly, because we're probably looking still at that 8% and maybe a little more that would happen in 2016. So you have this critical financial need for assistance with the project. So we fit that picture that they have painted for those four criteria. So we are prepared to submit a CDBG asking for $500,000, and the public hearing is so that if any of you have questions or comments about this project, we would certainly invite for you to give them to us. But first, I'm going to ask Mickey Airy to summarize what we think needs to happen at the plant at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Wells. Again, I think you've done a good job. We have 2 filters that are failing. They're sand filters, and the desire is to replace those filters with cloth filters. This will help us in our capacity to treat more waste products. Also part of the project is some repiping that will help us with the flow. And then a third thing that's included in this phase of the project is the peak flow basin. Right now, when the lagoon was designed, there wasn't an adequate berm keeping stormwater out of that basin. This will alleviate that problem as we increase the berm of the lagoon. So overall, it is a maintenance of the plant, but it's going to help us with the capacity of the Southeast plant.
Thank you. And most of all, it will continue to treat raw sewage so that we don't have any running out of the plant. Those of you not familiar with the Southeast plant, it discharges, I don't know how many feet you would say, between the plant and Davis Creek is a very short distance. So what comes out of that plant really needs to be in compliance with regulations. So do any of you have any questions or comments that you'd like to make about the project? Mr. Mayor, members of the board, any comments?
I have no comments.
All right.
All right.
I would thank you for your time, and we can call an end to the public hearing. Thanks.
All right, thank you. We will call an end to the public hearing. At this time, I'll call to order the regular session of the Board of Aldermen. Chief Scott Newhouse, please lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call.
Alderman Bellington.
Here.
Alderman Stevens.
Here.
Alderman Henning.
Here.
Alderman Carmody.
Here.
Alderman Lockhart.
Here.
Alderman Wright.
Here. All right, reform. Thank you. I'd like to welcome all our visitors here this evening. First item on the agenda is approval of the consent agenda with November 9th, 2015 regular session minutes. This is the consent agenda for your approval.
Make a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
Have a motion, have a second.
I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion carries. Next is public comments. Is there anybody from the public that wishes to make a comment? If you will, please come up to the podium, use the microphone, and give us your name and your address.
Ray Hart, 602 West Kirkpatrick. I'd like to express our appreciation for a couple of city employees. We had a power failure at 10:50 Saturday night. Called the power plant on the hill. He said he'd call out a crew, and I guess they probably had to get them out of bed. But within 40 minutes, they were out there, two guys from the power department, and worked on it till 5 o'clock in the morning out there in the rain. They got our power back on. We sure appreciate the prompt response and getting the job done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harms. We'll make sure that the power guys get that message, Mr. Conway.
Sure will.
All right, thank you. Any other comments? All right, seeing none, we'll move into the mayor's report. First off, I wanted to thank the Chamber of Commerce for the Christmas lighting ceremony that they hosted. This year was a little bit different with the parade, and we had to kind of move the location, change some things up a little bit for really good feedback on it. We had great weather. I appreciate Alderman Carmody, if you can make sure Santa Claus knows that we appreciate his participation, as well as the elves and Elsa from Frozen. You can pass that on to them. The school appreciate the choirs who sang, and as well as all the participants in the parade. Wanted to also congratulate the Odessa Bulldog football team. They got second place at state. They went down to St. Louis and played a very tough John Burroughs team, and unfortunately came up a little bit short. Had a meeting today with the school. They're going to have a recognition event on January 8th of 2016 between the varsity and between the varsity and junior varsity basketball games. There's all three teams are playing that night. All three boys teams are playing that night. They're going to do a recognition event on January 8th, 2016. Between JV and varsity boys basketball games, and they will have more details as we get a little closer to that time. They have a few other things planned for that night as well. So I want to congratulate Coach Thomas and his staff and the football team on their season. Next item that I had was have an appointment to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Mr. George Fowler, he expressed interest in serving. I spoke with him, and I brought this, sent this email to the board for your guys' kind of cross-examination of him if you so desired. But with that, enough time has passed, I would appreciate your guys' confirmation of his appointment to the Planning and Zoning Commission, so I will take a motion for that appointment. Alderman,
I'll move we approve the mayor's appointment.
have a motion?
I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second of the appointment of George Fowler to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion carries. All right, next is the police department chaplain, penny and oaths. When Scott Newhouse, Chief Scott Newhouse got here, one of the things that him and I talked about was the importance of a chaplain program and making sure that our employees had access to outside resources to deal with some of the pressures and struggles that they deal with on and even off the job. And so we have established our first ever formal chaplain program here in the city of Odessa. We're pretty excited about it. We have to count them up. Tonight we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them here. There's 7 total. And I just want to read off their names real quick. As I read your name, if you would mind coming up and we'll line up right here and bring your family member, because what we're going to do is after you take the oath, the family member is going to pin your badge onto your chest. So I hope that you're in good standing with this family member. So we don't want to do we're not doing open heart surgery. But the names are Paula Ice-Griggs, I believe she's not here, Bob Jepson, Daniel Geringer, Jason Hawkins, Don Quick, Jay Thornton, and Wendy Mitchell. Is that correct? Mitchell, okay. So if you guys will line up here, have your family members right next to you. Chief Newhouse will read you the oath of office.
Remember, there's no liability if you get stabbed when you're going down.
You don't mind raising your right hand.
What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna say, state your name, so we don't have all this unison of everybody state your name, so I'm just gonna go state your names, and then I'll read the whole thing, then make it easy on you. And all you gotta do is say, I will, all right? So I'll make this really easy on you. I,
Jay Thornton.
Don Quick.
Jason Hawkins.
Daniel Geringer.
Wendy Mitchell.
do solemnly swear that I will support the Odessa Police Department in the police chaplain program, that I will support the police department's mission to provide faith-based principles to the citizens and empathy at times in crisis. I will make myself available to the citizens of Odessa and those who are in need when called upon based on description of duties, training, and abilities. And all you do is say, I will.
I will.
All right, well, thank you. We get you the badges and. First victim.
It just slides.
Yeah. This goes right through the holes on the inside.
Chief, you can just pass them all out.
Okay. They're already open.
Don't run off after you get them put on there. I think we're going to have
Yeah.
to take a picture live.
We're gonna have chaplains, and then I'm gonna tilt you this way because boardsmen act a little funny when they're in the background. So the chaplains would like to come up right here.
I just want to say thank you again to our chaplains and their families. This is kind of like I said, a new program, so they're going to go through some specialized training that police chaplains have to go through. We've got some pretty good resources for them. I think it's going to be beneficial to both the community and the police department. So thank you, and don't feel like you have to stay for the rest of the meeting. Free to leave if you want to. All right, that is all that I have. Next is Alderman reports. Alderman Henning.
Mr. Mayor, I wanted to kind of echo your thoughts on the lighting, Christmas lights. Makes me feel nice and hometown here. That's all I have.
Alderman Bell.
Nothing tonight, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Alderman Lockhart.
Nothing tonight.
Thank you. Alderman Carmen.
Mr. Mayor, I do just would like to thank the Chamber of Commerce and everyone that's talked. I certainly together, it was one of the successful that we've ever had. They're all special because this is your financial.
Thank you. Alderman Stevens.
Nothing tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Nothing, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. We have no more business, new business. First item is the approval of the audit engagement letter. Mr. Perry.
Yes, this is the standard engagement letter from the auditor. What is different about this letter is on page 14 of your packet. Paragraph 3, the third full paragraph, deals with if the auditor is called in to assist the city in working through the audit. During the transition period between city clerk, finance director, and us getting a new finance director, there's been some journal entries that we need to catch up on, and some other work, working with our current city clerk and then a future finance director. So this third paragraph deals with if the auditor is called in to do extra work, it would be at a fee of $123 an hour for his work, $85 an hour for any staff work that needs to be done. This originally, the fee was going to be $145 and $100 respectively. But we had a conversation with our auditor. He has granted us a 15% discount. The way that this would be monitored is Ms. Oath and myself would be the ones that would engage the auditor to come in if we felt like it was necessary. So again, we want to make sure and ensure that we're not overusing this clause in this engagement letter, but as we get through the times of changing from a city clerk, finance director to city clerk, separate finance director, and myself, this is just an added benefit that we could use, and that's what this engagement letter is different. Bring to your attention.
Any questions?
The second right after the amount, it says for the single audit, the fee will not exceed $1,600. What is it? Wait,
Yeah, there's up in the second paragraph, that's,
what's in the third paragraph?
okay, I'm sorry, the fourth paragraph is the one that I was referencing earlier. But the single audit, and correct me, Ms. Oak, there's two audits here. There's the regular audit and there's the 1,600. Okay.
And I think that just went up by $100 than last year.
Nothing's changing on the single audit.
Oh, it's not.
No, I mean, as far as outside of just the small fee
Right,
increase,
that's always.
that's just the standard of what they normally charge.
But we could have a single audit for special funding that we have. It has to be audited separately. Is that answer?
That's what
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes, there's an overall audit, and then if there's special funding that takes a separate audit, that's what that $1,600 is.
Do they pick which fund gets the single audit, or do we tell them which one we want?
I do not know that. I can.
And my understanding is it's by, if by grant, is it not?
Right.
Ms. Wells,
It's by the amount of federal assistance you receive
Yeah.
during a fiscal year.
yeah, we don't determine that. It's
No.
already, it's predetermined by
Okay.
either the grant or the funding.
Correct.
Yeah,
Okay, that's what I
Correct.
just wanted to know.
yeah.
Any other questions?
Yes. So every year we pay this amount, is that correct, for the audit?
Mhm.
You have to, it's required to have this audit, right? How do we determine how does this accounting, since I haven't been here very long, how does this accounting firm get selected?
Every 3 years, we send out a request for qualifications, and we'll pick a new auditing firm.
Okay. And so this is, the third year, then obviously 2012, so this will be then the next time for 2016, we'll be visit bids or whatever, right?
Correct. We'll select another auditing firm.
Any other questions? If there's no other questions, then we'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we approve the audit engagement letter.
Have a motion? Have a motion and a second to approve the audit engagement letter. Last chance discussion. Seeing none, all in favor? Motion carries. Next is the approval of the Odessa Senior Center mailing. Mr. Irving?
Yes, this was brought to my attention. There was a request from the Odessa Senior Center that this letter be a two-sided letter that would be placed in the utility billing and sent out to all the residents of Odessa. This request obviously would help in the savings of postage for the center. It is a request for funds, but they're coming before us asking that this be placed in the utility billing.
Any questions about this request? Is there anybody else that would like to speak about it?
Who is providing the printing of this?
The center is going to print them, but city staff would fold them. We have a folding machine, and we would stuff them. And again, it shows as a two-piece piece of paper on here, but it'll be one piece, two-sided.
There weren't any issues with the one we did for the chamber downtown. It folded and everything went fine.
Yes, sir.
If there's no other questions, then we'll entertain a motion to approve this request. Alderman.
I'll move that we approve the request by the Odessa Senior Center.
Have a motion or a second?
I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second to approve the request for the senior center mailing. Last chance for discussion. Seeing none, all in favor? All opposed? One abstention. Motion carries 5-0. Next is the Odessa Outreach Christmas Tree Decorating and Fundraising. Mr. Smith.
Yes.
You're in the spotlight.
Good evening. I'm here on behalf of the Odessa Outreach Board. I am vice president of that board. And for several years, we have been able to utilize the community Christmas tree as one of our fundraising projects for our organization. I am here now to request that we be able to utilize the tree again this year. How we do this is people can make a donation to have ornaments put on the tree in memory, in honor of a loved one, however they see fit. Also ask that if possible, we could use some help from the city and their big, tall equipment, hanging the stuff up towards the top, putting the topper on, that kind of stuff.
Any questions for Mr. Smith? Is there anything different in this request that from last year?
No.
All looks the same?
No, it's the same. We have the ornaments. As people come in and make their donation, we go down and hang them on the tree. But then it gets a little more difficult the higher up we go.
Okay.
My question is, can we coordinate that either through myself or Mr. Conway? So that the
Yeah,
staff,
and you'll coordinate any hanging that needs to be done?
Oh, sure.
Through Mr. Airy?
Yes, most definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, when we've reached our limit, we'll
Okay.
holler and ask if there's any help we can get.
Any other questions? If not, then I'll entertain a motion for this request as well. Alderman Carmen.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the Odessa Outreach Christmas tree decorating fundraising project.
Have a motion of a second.
I'll second that.
Have a motion of a second. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? All opposed? Any abstentions? One abstain. Motion carries 5-0, one abstention.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Smith, appreciate it. Next is the McDowell Street discussion. I believe that we have Mr. Miller from Larkin Lake Rainier Center. I have to make sure I got the word.
You can just say Mark.
Okay.
Sorry,
You can shoot. Here, take that one, Betty. We can get a copy.
Yeah, and I'll need one for the packets.
Yeah, we'll get
Good
it.
evening, I'm Dan Miller with Larkin, City Engineer. Understood we wanted to have a discussion item about the McDowell Street culvert. I think most of the aldermen, if not all of you, are familiar with the location. It's on the south side of town. Culvert was damaged in the June flood pretty severely. In addition, it's been there a long time, and the design life for bare corrugated steel like that in this environment is typically only about 30 years, 35 years before the bottom starts rotting out and the culvert needs replacing anyway. So in all likelihood, it was had some issues to start with. I believe the existing pipe is about 48-inch diameter, drains about 166 acres. Most of that's residential area to the north of McDowell Street there. Without detailed survey, it's a little hard to get exact numbers, but the capacity of that pipe before it was damaged is probably in the range of 150 cubic feet per second, in that range, before it gets to the roadway, overtops the roadway. And there's also a structure, I believe it's a garage, is that right, on the upstream side of the roadway that gets flooded as well. I'm not sure if it goes over the road first or goes over the end of the garage first, but it's pretty close right there. I believe that garage has a history of complaints about flooding, probably because the culvert, in all likelihood, has less than a 2-year, certainly less than a 5-year return interval for storms. In other words, you might expect statistically that for that road and that storm to get into that structure, that culvert, that drainage, in about less than 5 years, maybe as little as every couple of years from a statistical standpoint. I noted that the 2-year recurrence interval is about 280 CFS, so clearly the culvert is undersized. The Odessa Code adopts American Public Works Association standards for storm drainage. That would normally require a minimum 10-year recurrence interval for that structure, that drainage structure, prior to overtopping the roadway. And then also you would look at the depth of flow in the 100-year across the roadway. And if it gets very deep, it is one criteria that you might upsize that culvert for that. The second criteria you might upsize the culvert for would be structure flooding, which we do have in this particular case. To give you just kind of a frame of reference, the 100-year discharge, which I think you, without knowing for certain, you were pretty close to, I think, in June, certainly a 50-year storm at the very least, is around 700 cubic feet per second. So that's several times the capacity of the existing culvert. Would not normally recommend a 100-year structure, but certainly upsizing from the 10-year structure is in order there, probably in the neighborhood of a 25 or something, which is what you would ordinarily put in a collector.